What if I told you we can actually have a really good idea of who's going to win the championship from this year and the 4 teams that are left by one newer statistic that we can analyze from the past 20 years? You might be able to tell the future. What is the statistic that we're looking at, you might be asking? It's called SRS, and it stands for Simple Rating System. It combines a team's overall dominance by looking at the average strength of schedule and the average point differential. For instance, an average team has an SRS of 0. SRS is just the margin of victory and the strength of schedule added together. If a team has an average MOV of 6 and an average SOS of 0.5, then their SRS is 6.5. So, from the past 20 years, what do the average champions look like? Where do they usually finish in the league in terms of SRS, and what is their SRS score usually at? So the mean rank is 3, and the mean standard deviation is about 2. Going along with this, the mean SRS of champions is about 7.03, and the standard deviation of the SRS is about 2.66. So, for instance, based off their regular season, the 2026 Detroit Pistons this year had the 3rd highest SRS rank at 7.53. They would be an average NBA champion based off of all of these metrics alone had they won it. But what are some examples of teams that have actually won the championship that fit this profile? They include the 2020 Lakers with a 3rd ranked SRS of 628. The 2013 Heat actually had the 2nd best SRS, but it was exactly 7.03, which is right on the mean. So these teams are really like model teams as far as being in the mean rank in SRS for a champion. But the most average NBA champion was actually the 2009 Lakers with the 3rd best SRS and a rating of 7.11. So now that you know what an average champion looks like, let's look at the SRS ranks and percentiles of the 4 teams left in the playoffs this year to see who could potentially beat the champ. The Thunder have an SRS of 11.04, which is in the 93rd percentile for champions. So what this means is out of 14 champions, the Thunder would be on average the highest SRS half the time. Out of 100 champions, they are the 93rd highest SRS. So they have an extremely high SRS. The Spurs fit the profile pretty well. They're in the 68th and 69th percentile respectively for their SRS and their rank. The Knicks also fit the profile pretty well. Unfortunately, the Cavs, my team, we have an SRS percentile of 11. It does happen. Teams have won the championship with worse SRS percentiles. For instance, the 2023 Nuggets actually had a 3.04 SRS. The 2011 Mavs had a 4.41 SRS. But in the last 20 years, there has never been a team that didn't finish top 8 in SRS rank that won the championship. So their SRS rank percentile is really low. And the team that was the 8th ranked that won the championship was the 2011 Mavericks, which is pretty rare, I would say. So based off this, basically the Spurs are the closest to fitting your average profile champion based off the season they just had. Maybe the Knicks fit the profile too. Unfortunately, the Cavs, it would be a long shot based off this. It would be historic. It would really, I would argue, be the worst champion of the past 20 years. So really though, we do have to consider something else. The Thunder don't fit the profile because teams with an SRS of 11 don't win the championship, because it happens so rarely. From our table, we know that if this Thunder team were to win, they would be in the 93rd percentile of NBA champions, which is pretty good. So what teams have ever had an SRS of 11? Actually, let's just look at some teams in the past 10 years that have had an SRS of at least 10. The 2024 Celtics had an SRS score of 10.75 with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and all those guys, and Drew Holiday and Derek White, and that was a really good team. The 2015 Warriors achieved a score of 10.01, and then there were only two other teams that achieved an SRS of 10 to 11 in the past 20 years, and they both didn't win a championship. But they're also both from the same year. It was the 2016 Spurs and the 2016 Warriors. Yeah, the 2016 Warriors had a lower SRS than this Thunder team. So who are the only teams that have ever finished with that high of an SRS? The 2017 Warriors, the 1996 Bulls, the 2025 Thunder, and the 2026 Thunder. This legitimately is a dynasty. The statistics are predicting that this is a dynasty, even though the NBA is getting better, even though there's more parity than there ever has been before. This has never been done before. Actually, last year, the Thunder became the only team to ever have an SRS above 12 in a regular season with an SRS score of 12.7. So the only time a team with an SRS of 10 plus did not win a championship was because of LeBron James. In my opinion, the greatest player of all time. So then you have to ask, well, then what would it take to beat a team as talented and successful as the Thunder? What would it mean if they lost? Is it even possible for this Thunder team to lose in the playoffs? And this is what I would have to tell you. I think the Thunder are easily the team to beat. And I would say, based off of all of these statistics, they are a dynasty in the making. And I would definitely pick them to go back-to-back. I would give them about an 80% chance of winning the championship, maybe 70 to 80. But there is a little bit of a caveat to that, because the reason that a really good team has fallen in the 2016 Warriors was because a player was really that good in the playoffs and really left that much of a lasting impact. So if the Thunder did not win the championship this year, I would say it would be because of Victor Wembanyama. So all in all, what I would tell you is the Thunder are the team to beat. The Thunder are from SRS, going to win the championship. But if Wemby and the Spurs knock off the Thunder, then we're looking at something that has never been done before, and by anybody, and he's only 22, which would be just ridiculous. So, yeah.